What's good? It's your boy TJ Goodfellow. We back with the boxing clinic and more. You dig? And I just got done watching Jeff Horn, get a TKO versus Gary Corcoran, of the United Kingdom. And it seemed like Jeff Horn started off a little slow. Seemed like he was a little rusty or whatever. They say he struggles to make 147 pounds. But what's so funny about that is he finishes strong. And he got good stamina. But one thing I noticed about, Gary Corcoran, this guy was a guy that came down in weight. He got knocked out by Lyman Williams at 154. And I think after that, or sometime after that, he came down to 147. He looked physically good, but he don't have the punching power to bother nobody. And even at 54, coming down to 47, he don't have that power. He was hitting, Jeff Horn, but it wasn't shaking Jeff Horn. He did open up a cut that Jeff Horn suffered in sparring, leading up to this fight. Jeff Horn, like Gary Corcoran, easy money. I fight with this scar tissue, this freshly wounded scar, and I still whoop him. And for the first, early part of the fight, 5 or 6 rounds, it was close, in my opinion. At one point, Gary Corcoran, according to their little box stats, which I don't pay too much attention to, but it actually made sense this time, and sometimes it do, that Corcoran was outworking him, and Horn kind of woke up, found his distance, found his range, started hitting him with some vicious body shots somewhere in the middle rounds. Corcoran started to slow. His face started to get bloody. He couldn't hang Jermaine with Jeff Horn at all. And Jeff Horn just started taking off on his ass, throwing him to the body, going to the head. And Jeff Horn has a nice little, move that he does. And I think that kind of threw off Pacquiao, because Pacquiao's used to doing it, using the pivoting and stepping off to the side and getting that weird angle and getting off again. And I think, in the Pacquiao fight, now looking back at it, I think Pacquiao was kind of looking at the mirror versus a guy that was bigger than him that can do that little pivot step over. And Jeff Horn seemed to have mastered that. But Gary Corcoran didn't come in and lay down like no little hoe. He came in and fought his heart out, man, and definitely I'd like to see him fight again. But it just seems to be missing in the power department, and that's what's hurting him. I don't see him beating any top contenders unless it'll be a huge upset. But he's a solid fighter. And he did complain leading up to this fight that Jeff Horn was a dirty fighter. He cried. His coach even put a boxing glove hat on, saying that, because Horn leveled his head, that they wish that Horn wore that boxing glove on his head to protect, Corcoran from headbutts. But anytime they get to complaining and crying about something beforehand, usually they worry. In boxing, people say, oh, he's a dirty fighter. Well, boxing isn't a clean sport, It's a dirty sport. You got to get your hands dirty. And Jeff Horn proved, for the most part last night, I didn't see him lose his head too many times, that he didn't need his head. That's just what happened when you put a southpaw, with an orthodox fighter, especially an aqua fighter like Pacquiao versus a bigger guy like Jeff Horn. That's what happens. You know what I mean? Jeff Horn going to do what he got to do to win. He got the knockout, the technical knockout. Gary Corcoran coached through the towel in, say this fighter, he was taking a butt whooping. Horn was coming on extremely tough down the stretch. And we're going to talk about the Terrence Crawford, sizing it up with Terrence Crawford, and some other breaking news about that fight with Jeff Horn and Terrence Crawford that we kind of talked about, heading into this a couple months ago. This fight, which is supposed to be Bradley Skeet, Jesse Vargas, Pacquiao, Crawford potentially. So we're gonna break some news with an article link. So after you watch this video, right about after you done watching this video, the next video should almost be up, because we're gonna segue into sizing up Terrence Crawford and Jeff Horn, and a huge possibility or huge breaking news that can happen where that fight won't even happen, and Jeff Horn may drop that belt. So be on the lookout for that. We gone.